Jay here, Scotty and Motty. I'm Motty, you're Scotty.
I am Scotty.
Apologies for the lateness, because punctuality is important, and that is what I want.
I mean, you should be able to find the remote control for the TV first. That was the real issue, running around like some 1990s game show. Where's the remote? Where's the remote?
It was a bit embarrassing, that, and apologies for that, because we couldn't find the remote for the TV. That's literally what we've been doing, been looking for remotes. It's all getting a bit serious, isn't it, brother?
It really is, mate. I wanted to come on here and do some sort of light-hearted conversation as we do every Monday, but the stuff that's happening over in the United States definitely needs discussing this week. It's heartbreaking, to say the least. I think the country that puts itself forward as being the land of the free is now dictating what women can do with their bodies, and quite frankly, I think it's disgusting.
It is. We're talking about, as you may have guessed from the thumbnail and the title and everything else, the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. Now, you know, as two sort of Brits, I think it's safe to say me and you didn't know loads about it, did we? Until recently. I saw it as a topic. I remember when Obama was going for the presidency, I remember it came up in interviews with Joe Biden when he was vice president candidate, and Sarah Palin, what's your approach or your attitude towards Roe versus Wade? And I saw it was about abortion and the women's right to choose. And then, I saw it was a hot topic when Clinton was going up against Donald Trump, because there was this feeling that, you know, if the Supreme Court became more conservative, that it might get overturned. And then we saw it with Trump when he appointed, was it Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett? They were asked about it in the confirmation, you know, and the sort of the answers they gave indicated that they weren't going to overturn Roe versus Wade. And now it's happened. And now it seems like there's this shift to the right, which is weird for me as well, because you've got a Democratic president, you've got a Democratic controlled Congress, and yet you've got these decisions that are basically Republican-led.
Yeah, I mean, is this like not Donald Trump's legacy when you're saying about the people he put in the Supreme Court and they're the ones that have allowed it to go through? I mean, American politics is a little bit of a minefield anyway in terms of how things get through. I mean, just first and foremost, what's your take on the decision?
I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest with you. I think it's a bit sad that, you know, women are being told they've got to have a baby, even if it. I think in certain cases as well, it can. There's this argument going on now where people are saying, and do get involved in the chat and the comments. I want to hear what everyone's got to say, because, you know, it's important. This is your show as much as ours, and want to hear your thoughts on it. There's a lot of people saying, well, if, you know, there's a woman's a victim of rape, or if she's in medical danger or incest, or, you know, she's 12 years old or whatever, being forced to have a baby is horrific, which it is. But there's also that point of not everything should be sort of, you know, the narrative shouldn't always be around the most horrific circumstances. If you're not ready to have a baby and you have an unwanted pregnancy, I personally believe you should have the right to have an abortion. Yeah. I think that as long as, especially, you know, it's not like the end of your term or whatever, then, you know, if you decide that now is not the time, or the circumstances are right, whatever that may be, for you to not have the baby, then I think you have that right. Yeah. I don't think you should be forced into it.
No, not at all. It's down to the decision of the person who's pregnant at the end of the day. And I think Kendrick Lamar spoke for the majority of people that I think everyone around the world, apart from who's in Congress in America, when he said, Godspeed for women's rights. It's 2022, and we're not, but the American government seems to be taking away the rights of women to have babies or not. And it should be down to one person and one person only, and that's the person who's carrying the child. And you're right in the sense that in some states now, even if you have a problem and you need to have surgery and that's going to affect you if you're pregnant, or say you had cancer and you're carrying, you wouldn't be able to have a termination. Yeah. So you just basically you're allowing a baby to be born possibly with problems, or not have the treatment. There's also in some situations in some states where incest, you're not even allowed to get an abortion if it's incest. And these are the extremes that they're going to. But you're right, first and foremost, it's just down to the decision whether you're ready to have a child or not.
And yeah, I mean, one thing I always think about this as well is, you know, people get quite emotive, and I understand, and people try and frame it as you're killing kids and all that, and it's not the case, is it? Because if you're getting rid of an early pregnancy, you're not killing a child, it's cells. And there's could be circumstances where someone isn't ready. They might be young, they might not have the finances, whatever, and then they have an abortion. And then 5 years later, they are ready. So they have a child. So it's not necessarily that, you know, whereas if they were forced to have a child, they might have the circumstances might be different, so they don't have the child they had anyway, if that makes sense. It's not all cut and dry as yours presenting this life. You're not. Do you know what I mean? You could be preventing another life, or you could be ruining someone's life. And there's also this argument that in America, you know, not everyone has access to childcare and healthcare and all this sort of stuff that we all take for granted. And yet, so people who are now forced to have a baby might be forced to have a baby that's born into poverty and born into, you know, medical issues that the mother or the father of the parents, both parents are there, can't afford to pay for. So it just seems very unjust that the same people who are forcing these sort of pregnancies and these, you know, these people to have children are also saying that, well, once you've had it, you're on your own.
Yeah, I mean, and across America, the poverty is a huge problem. So what they're doing is co-signing more people to the welfare states, which is going to be a larger problem for the financing of the American government. What's the rationale for the people that are saying that we've got to stop abortions? Is it a religious thing?
I think there's a big religious part of it. I think the Christian element of America, and you know, I know not all Christians believe this, so I'm not saying that every single Christian has the same attitude. It doesn't, but there is a sort of the right and the Christian right and the evangelical right, whatever you want to say, are firm believers in sort of, you know, is it creation at this point of inception or whatever? So as soon as you're pregnant, that is a life. So it's protected under, you know, the commandments almost, and it's sacred, and you shouldn't. And I know it's different in the Jewish religion. I think Jewish religion, life begins when the baby takes the first breath. So that's going against the Jewish religion. And please get involved in the comments. And if I'm getting anything wrong,
that's quite interesting, though, because Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are all parts of the Abrahamic faith, so they all stem from each other. Yet you've got contradictions in Christianity and Judaism in terms of what.
Well, this is it, and also it's not just. There's been another decision, I think today, by the Supreme Court, that teachers in public schools, if they want to, can lead the class in prayer, in Christian prayer. I think. I'll just have a look. There's one of these guys I follows. He did a tweet earlier. Yeah. The Supreme Court was ruled 6-3. 6-3, I think, is the makeup of the Supreme Court. I think it's 6 conservative justices and 3 liberal ones. Now, we've seen the Supreme Court, they always vote along these lines. Sort of the conservative ones vote towards the conservative ones you'd expect, and the liberal ones. The problem is, it used to be a bit more balanced. We lost Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who died. Do you remember there was this campaign?
Yeah,
people offering to donate organs to her to keep her alive. She died just before Donald Trump's presidency ended, and he replaced her with a conservative justice. I think it was it Amy Barrett Cohen was the
we talked about it on one of the podcasts during lockdown when she
rushed it through, didn't they?
Yeah.
And now the latest reading the decision I'm here is that the Supreme Court just ruled 6-3 that public school teachers and other staff can now lead students in prayer, significantly undermining the separation of church and state and overturning decades of established precedents. So it does seem like it's all changing over there, and you know, not necessarily for the better. I think, you know, I get that some people have strongly held beliefs, and I'm respectful of that. But then, do you have to impose them on other people as well?
And there is the huge problem. It's imposing your religious beliefs on how somebody else should live their lives. I'm all for people, if you believe in whoever at all, that's down to you, and you keep that within your own house and live how you want to. But I don't think that you should impart any of your beliefs that's sort of challenging, possibly ruining, ending in some circumstances people's lives due to them. They might have to go out of the state, they might have to get illegal abortions, you know, if the medical care is not there. So, you know, whatever you believe in, you do you. I don't think you should pass that down on other people. One thing I find a massive hypocrisy is that this is the United States government that we're talking about. Oh, Afghanistan's being overrun by the Taliban. We need to be concerned about women over there because they're not going to be able to have the rights for education and stuff like that. If this was the Taliban doing this, it'd be all over the sort of papers. But because it's in the Western world, it's the United States, and it's done by a democracy that I'm not too sure that I believe in. To be absolutely honest with you, that works. It's not seen with the same sort of. It's not tarnished. It's seen as a political decision.
You're right, and it's easy how it's quite shocking how we can judge other, you know, countries and religions or whatever, or beliefs, and like be very judgmental. And in some cases that's right. You can go, actually, that's not fair or whatever. Yeah, we've got and so when I say problems closer to home, you might go, well, this isn't close to home, this is America, but
it's a global problem.
It's a global
We're
thing,
not
innit?
here anymore where it's decisions
No.
that are made like in country. Like it shouldn't happen.
no. I'm just going to get into some of the comments as well. A few people get involved in the comments. Please do get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think. John B says, remember when we were kids and we all wanted to live in America? Now I'd rather eat my own kidney. That was a point, that, wasn't it? 'Cause when I was a kid, it was like the dream. I don't know if you were different.
I agree with you. America always saw, because I think it was the infancy of Sky and everything was big and brash over there and stuff. And now I think it's got a little bit crass, I think. In so many ways. And the more that we're aware of certain decisions and stuff that happens in America, I think it's sort of lost a lot of its appeal.
No, 100%. DJ says the decision surely has to be down to the individual. It's crazy in this day and age. Effectively gives women less rights than guns. Mental. Yeah, people have been saying this. Like, guns seem to be more protected than women at the minute because there's all this, like, they had this.
Just repeat what you just said.
Guns seem to be more protected than women.
We're in 2022 and that's a thing. That's embarrassing.
It does seem embarrassing, doesn't it? But unfortunately, that genuinely seems where we're at. We seem to be in a position where in America, if you've got a gun or, you're a gun owner, then you're going to get all these rights protected. No one can take guns off you. No one can do this. You know what I mean? You're looking at the gun legislation just been passed. It's a bit, I know it's something, but it's a bit wishy-washy, innit? Whereas if you're a woman with, you're pregnant, then, do you know what I mean? You haven't got any rights. It's like the state is taking over or the government's taking over. And we've also seen as well that there's like these trigger laws. So we were talking about this just before. And the 13 states that have trigger laws, which means that straight away they quickly ban abortions. So of those states, I think you've got, including Arkansas, Kentucky, Missouri, South Dakota, where as soon as this happened, those trigger laws came in. So people, right, get on this, who'd booked abortions, who like obviously got to have an abortion, so their appointment in those states could see their appointments cancelled straight away. Like, it's mad, to be honest with you. I mean, what do you make of that?
Democracy's flawed, I think. Obviously, like the people who are pulling the abortion, who are triggering the laws, obviously run along sort of the Christian beliefs in the extreme that the people who are passing down these judgments. It's just, I think we're regressing. And I put this on Twitter last night after seeing the Kendrick Lamar performance, which was outstanding, by the way. You should check it out. But it's nice to see people using their pedestal and the platform to challenge injustices such as this, because we need a hell of a lot more of it, because it just feels that, and I don't know, the last sort of 20 years that we're going backwards. There are little increments of acceptance regarding sort of sexuality, but I think we're more divided than ever on certain problems, and I just don't believe that democracy works in the way that we have it.
No, and the scary thing is, I think there's Justice Clarence Thomas, who's very conservative. I mean, there's talks of trying to get him impeached because his missus, I think, Ginny Thomas, was involved in the insurrection, allegedly anyway. People were saying she was involved in the insurrection. And there's talk of, and he did this sort of, whatever you summation or whatever you call it, I forget the term, where he wrote a paper or a brief on this decision. And he was mentioning, looking at same-sex marriages next and things like that. And you think, what's next on this conservative agenda?
That's what I mean. It goes back. It's going backwards, isn't it? It feels like we reached a peak or a plateau, and then now we've got all these sort of trigger laws. And as quickly as the people that you were saying in them states, was it 10 out of the 13 triggered them?
Yeah, I think 13 states out of the 15.
Yeah, I mean, and let's not kid ourselves. Once the trigger laws are allowed to be banning same-sex marriage, you expect it to go. I'd hazard a guess that it'd probably be more rapid than the banning abortion.
Well, this is the scary thing, and then someone was pointing out, what next? Are you going to come, because he's part of an interracial marriage? Are you going to come for interracial marriage? Is that next on the agenda? And I can't remember, there was a senator that was asked about that, and he said, oh, well, there could be a position where you leave it up to the state. Well, why would you leave it up to the state? Why would you? What? No, surely not. Like, it just seems like you keep saying it is going backwards. Get involved in the comments, get involved in the chat, let us know what you think, especially if you're watching from over in the States. I know we've got people that are, or anywhere. Are you concerned? Like, does anyone worry that sometimes over here in England, it feels like we almost follow the lead of America? And do you have any concerns that something like this could happen in America? In the UK? Could we see a situation where we start dictating, the state that starts dictating whether you can have abortions, or the state starts dictating, who you can marry or what you can do, because it's not beyond the realms of possibility that something like this could happen. And do hit the like button as well if you're watching. 50 if you're liking. 50 if you're watching, let's hit that like button. Saz, can we just check the wide as well? Make sure it's in focus. Sorry, mate.
I agree with you. I mean, my head says that would never happen in this country. But then the cynic in me says that anything is possible. You look at we go back to the Iraq War. Didn't expect that to go off and go hunting for weapons that didn't exist in Iraq. But obviously that happens. So it'd be uproar. I mean, can the people of America do anything about this now? Or is this done until the next time there's an election?
Well, this is just a frustrating thing for me as well, is in terms of the Democrats. Because the Democrats... they've, obviously they've got the presidency, they've got control of Congress, they've got control of the Senate, and it's like the argument is, they should be able to do something about this, but it doesn't feel like Biden is. Now, some people are saying, well, they could pack the court, they could pack the Supreme Court, put more justices in there so that there's, 7 liberal justices compared to 6 conservative ones, and then they could revoke this, or whatever the term is. Forgive me, my terminology is not great. Biden's already come out and said he's not going to pack the court. He's not going to do that. Then there was, I think I saw AOC was coming out and she was saying, well, there's other ways you can put abortion clinics on federal lands, or I think that's what she was saying. I think what people want to see is some form of action from the Democrats. Why can't you do anything about it? Now, there's been the criticism that the Democrats will use this as a point to raise funds for the midterms, vote for us and, send us some money in. But what are you actually going to do with those votes? What are you going to do with that power? Because you don't
they're going to use it for
a
political tool that they're going to say, all right, well, if you vote for us or give us money, then we'll start getting abortions back in this.
Well, they should do that. They should do that. But
no, they should do it anyway, not use it for some sort of to throw in political
but I don't
punches.
understand why. And please get involved in the comments why it just feels like they're not doing anything at the minute other than just sort of, yes, you've got people speaking out, Elizabeth Warren, obviously very vocal, AOC, as I mentioned, but it does feel a bit like the Democrats just sort of going, this is, what can we do? Shocking. I think there's the whole filibuster thing as well. They can overturn the filibuster, or when it comes to the debt ceiling. Why can't they do it now? And have they got the votes? Because Senator Joe Manchin, who's a Democrat, isn't very reliable to vote the Democratic way. There's the other girl, Kirsten Sumner, who's another Democratic senator, not always reliable. The Republicans will vote.
Yeah, they'll fall. I mean, it's very much similar to over here, I imagine, in terms of I think the Conservative government all seem to pull in the same direction. I imagine that's the same with the Republicans.
Yeah, and it's like you'll have the bit of fractured politics with Labour, where
Labour's like the Man United dressing room.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost every man for himself or every man and woman for themselves, where the Tories will all vote on I know obviously they've had their own little issues with Boris Johnson, but they vote along the Tory lines, whereas with Labour, and it does feel a little bit like that. With the Democrats, they can't quite. Sometimes they have managed to. They did it with obviously the infrastructure bill, but then Bring Back Better, which Biden was his next big thing, he couldn't get Joe Manchin to agree to it, and it massively undermined him because they were going through these negotiations like United trying to get De Jong, and it was just dragging on and on and on, and then Joe Manchin just said no, he just walked away. So I'm not going to do it, and then that's frustrating because people look at it and go, "You've got a majority, why can't you get things done?" You know what I mean? So why should I keep voting Democrat?
I mean, that must feel pretty hopeless for the people in the situation, especially now them that have had to had their appointments for abortions being cancelled. It's like these are the people in power that you're looking to lead you. You know what I mean? Like to answer your calls for change or to help and stuff. And it just seems to be a massive mess up at the top. And I don't think that's any different in any country. Do you think that we're too big to govern? And I know I'm talking about the States here, but I mean in England as well, because this has been something that I've been considering for a while. When you look at the problems politically in England, and you get one figurehead that makes a decision for that many people, and you can't, and this is why my problem is with democracy, is that they've got that many different opinions, and a lot of it doesn't sort of sway, the people problems in Southampton or whatever won't be the same as the problems in Manchester, but we all have to fall under the same sort of roof. Does it work? Is this the only? Why don't we explore other ways of doing things?
What do you mean? What's the word? I'm looking for where it's like Manchester looks after itself and
devolution.
Devolution. Thank you. Because you have a little bit of that, don't you, with like the Metro mayors, like Andy Burnham and Steve Rotherham in Liverpool. I don't know if it still is him. I forgot. Where they can sort of take control of certain things. We've seen it with the buses here, haven't we?
It's only certain things, though. Well, that's
limited. Very limited.
Yeah, but I surely it's easier if you. I mean, America has it state by state, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or ultimately, that they're governed by Washington, aren't they?
Yeah, that's been a big argument that's sort of gone on in America for years. Is like this sort of federal influence, big government over small government. Republicans tend to be more for small government. The presidency or the whatever government having less say in your lives.
Yeah.
And Democrats tend to be more federalist. I mean, again, forgive me, I'm getting this a bit wrong, and by all means, get involved in the comments. In England, you'd think, well, we're not that different to each other. Could it not work? But then you think, okay, well, what about local councils? Is that not what they come in for, to deal with the local issues?
They're for bins, man, and stuff like that.
Do you know what, though? You forget how mad important that is to people. When's the bin day? I
mean, some people need to get out more.
You might say that, right? Black Bin Day in our house gets celebrated like it's Christmas. Honestly,
what's Black Bins for you?
It's every third Thursday.
No, not what fucking day it is. What is it? What's Black Bin? What's it goes in it?
Oh, just foodstuffs and just general rubbish.
Do you recycle? We recycle as well.
You get a yellow card and all that red card if you don't, do you? Put them in the wrong bins.
I live under Tameside Council, and they said, "Oh,
how often's Black Bin Day?"
We get one a week.
One a week?
But then
paradise.
But then they've done the
no wonder you're not bothered.
The cardboard one. We only get it like 3 times every third week.
I think that's Black Bin Day around our way.
Is it?
Every third week for your main bins.
The main bins?
The main rubbish.
You need to get your kids eating anything in the house.
I'm sick of doing tip runs. Honestly.
Well, I quite like a tip run.
I'm sick of my missus having to go and do tip runs.
Actually, your missus go and doing tip runs, and you've got your dad round doing the painting. What do you do at your house? You?
The worst one, right, was once. I remember when my missus was pregnant in our old house. You used to have a car park that you shared with the houses, and we were doing she was doing a tip run once, and I fell asleep on the couch. So she was loading the car up, like heavily pregnant, with all this rubbish, because she's proper and like, she'd have woke me up and have done it, obviously, but she just like did it herself. Loaded up
when she was doing it, she let you sleep so she could...
Yeah. Right, so she loaded up all this, right, and the neighbours were seeing her and like offering to help, but she's like, no, don't worry, you know what I mean? Bro, the amount of daggers I got from neighbours after that, like, and they saw me, they were like shaking her head at me and everything, horrible, making your heavily pregnant missus load up the car when you're on, you know what I mean? Because I pops up later on to do to drive it, so they knew I was in. Honestly, it was horrible, but yeah, she's a
big fan of tip runs, man. It's good.
Yeah, let's have a look at some of the comments. Talkamu, great to see Talkamu in the chat. So circumstances that are out of the control of the women should not be brought into the religious aspect of the decision upon the termination of a pregnancy. I agree. Colin says, do they still do prayers in schools now? Did mine in the 90s? I don't know, actually. Do they?
They do, yeah. Because my kids go to a religious school and they've not been brought up with any religion. But like my middle one comes home and starts talking about Jesus and stuff like that. And I feel a little bit on edge about it. I remember you used to like handing out the hymn books is a good gig in primary school because you'd have to sit down and do them cross-legged thing for a while. So you're like,
on the scams you are, hey?
Blagger since
from the age of 3.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll hand the hymn books out and then you could hang around. You could sit at the back of the class and not have to do all the singing.
But I remember when we were looking at primary schools round our way, the primary schools, the Catholic schools are better. Like in Ofsted.
Oh yeah.
And because my missus was like, well, should we get the kids christened? Because I'm not really into that.
Are you Christian?
No. And I was like, I don't really want to get them christened because we're not religious, so why do that? And, you know what I mean? I'm not bothered about having a party or anything. You know, some people do it just for that.
Just don't want to spend any money, Jay.
There's that as well. Do you know what I mean? Money's tight. We're in a cost of living crisis. Don't you know about that, Scott? You've not heard about them ones. But no, I just thought, like, because I don't have that belief, I don't really want to.
Do you think it'd be hypocritical to do
like,
that? I mean, you wouldn't be the first person. I've known families that have said that the kids lived in a different house to try and get in a better school, and the poor kids have got like 9-mile commutes.
I get it. I understand. Like, Mrs. Like, we should get them christened. They've got a better chance of getting into this one of the Catholic schools. So it's, I shouldn't say this on camera, but you lot can keep it to yourself. So it's been discussed in the Mottershead household that perhaps that is an option. But yeah, I mean, it is. I don't know. Is
But yeah,
it a bit sad that that's the case? I don't know.
No, I agree with you. No, that was always the case when I was growing up. It's like the religious schools were always seen as better performers. And the irony is that I was Christian and could have gone to a decent school, but my parents wanted me to go to a more multicultural school, and that's why I went there.
Oh right, so you were Christian then?
Yeah,
Your family Christian?
No, I was the only one.
Oh, cool.
Because I'm the holy. I don't know, to be honest. I think because my
Did you never ask?
well, I was like, what, 6 months old? Like,
No, but like,
excuse me a minute, can I have a
No, I
word
don't
for you?
mean at the time. Like moving down the line, did you not like when you're older go see your brothers and sisters or like?
It was always a bone of contention in our house because our kid, my sister, she's close to my age, was always saying, she's only like 18 months between us. Why wasn't I christened?
Yeah.
And then my mum said, because it probably bubble the holy water on you. But I think it was more down to my mum's mum was a heavily Catholic Irish woman. You know,
right, okay.
So it's like that. I think that influence. And then when R. Kelly came along, it was just, they couldn't be arsed, I don't think. Father Chan christened me. Father Chan christened me in St. Richard's in Longside. Sat that as a pain in the ass.
My cousins and all that are all into like they're religious. They're not Catholics, Protestants. They've all had kids and haven't christened, and all my lot come to the christening and that, but they've not been christened. And I just feel like I get it, and you know, each their own. But
I remember my niece was christened, God knows, years ago, and then my sister said, "Do you want to be godfather?" And I thought, yeah, it's just a nice honour, you know.
Yeah.
And I turned up, and there was 4 other godfathers. We were stood there like a fucking boy band, mate. I was like,
yeah,
what's this?
I had it. I'm godfather to my mate's daughter, and I think there was, to be fair, there was 1 godfather and 2 godmothers. I think that's how they did it, because you have an extra godmother or something. But when Ava and Amos got christened, it was at a church in Eccles, funnily enough, not far from where I live now. I didn't live there at the time, Peel Green, and it was like a joint christening. And I'm not judgmental, Scotty.
A joint christening?
Yeah. Not arranged. It's like, this is just randomers they've put together. So it's a family you don't know. They're having a christening. It's like, you know what I mean, buy one, get one free or whatever, or like just chuck you in there. Do you know what I mean?
How big's the bath?
Don't mind these lot. Yeah, I mean, we've got a water shortage here, so we're just going to do like a few of you. Do you know what I mean?
The hose pipe bands on.
Yeah. Like, if you just put the babies next to each other, I'm just going to chuck a bit of water on them both. And then we got
closer.
Yeah. So I didn't know I got there, and I was like, there's all these like people outside the church. And when I say church, it's like, it's barely a church. It's like more of a community centre. Drinking Stella and all that. And this is like Sunday at 10 in the morning. I'm like, right, who are these lot? We go in. And it's like this joint christening. And it was like, yeah, we were on one side and the other. And then there's like, you just like, they just shared it. And then they had it. And I was like, this is a bit mad, this, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because you thought like your special day. Yeah. And it's just like almost like a free for all. You don't know, half people don't know who the other lot are.
Can you imagine if weddings were like that? Yeah.
You don't know these lot, but they're having their wedding as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The vicar's, he's got a gig in.
He's got next Sunday off.
Yeah, he's got next Sunday. I've got to ram him in today. You know what I mean? We haven't paid the lecky bill, so we've got to be quick.
Are you religious?
No, not really. I dabbled in it a couple of times.
You dabbled in it?
Yeah, I did.
You dabbled in a lot, didn't you?
It's a story of my life, isn't it? Do you know
was
what I mean?
Was it when you became sober that you saw the light? Was it during? I'm not knocking you.
No, I'm not. I had a friend who was, well, he still is, I presume. I've not seen him for years. Who was Muslim, who saw me during some dark times and took me to the mosque with him. Tried to get me to give Islam a go. Unfortunately, Islam, unlike drugs, didn't stick. So I just went back to drugs. And I went to church a couple of times. I was curious, and you know, I was a little bit like possibly. And again, you know, I went a couple of times and just didn't quite click for me. Do you know what I mean? Because I would never dismiss it and say, you know, what you doing that for, or why is someone like that? It's just for me. I think you have that. It's faith in it. It's faith and belief, and I just didn't. I was just cynical. I was like, I'm not really feeling this, and you know, I don't believe it. So you know, while I go to church like everyone else who does for christenings and weddings and stuff like that, I've never really been religious. What about yourself?
No. I mean, I'm like you. I'm quite cynical when it comes to religion in that I need to see evidence of certain things before I can sort of believe in them. And then I lived in India for a bit years ago, and then I started getting into Buddhism. But so like if I was to say a religion, it'd probably be Buddhism. But I'm not like I don't meditate every single day, but the evidence that I get from meditating and just sort of certain Buddhist beliefs regarding mindfulness and sort of living in the moment and stuff, it's more of a philosophy than it is a religion, and that's why I'm sort of more inclined in that. But believing to a higher power in terms of Judgment Day and stuff, it's a concept that I need to see evidence that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
To have faith in it. I mean, and the thing is, it's quite easy to mock religious people, and this is why I always find it difficult to watch Ricky Gervais sometimes, because did you know he was an atheist? It's like every time, you know, it's like just,
kept that one quiet.
Yeah, it's like
hey, kept that under the radar.
Honestly, just like that's his greatest hit in it every single time. But I kind of admire that people can have that unwavering faith in something.
Well, that's faith in it.
Like, no, I admire it. I like part of me.
Almost the definition, isn't it?
I wouldn't mind having some of that. But I just know me as a person that I'm not built like to follow something that I can't see. You wouldn't follow a football team if you couldn't watch the game.
That's yeah, fair enough.
Did that work?
I think the most blind faith we've got is following that shower of shite that calls itself Manchester United. Hoping that one day the glory days will return. No, I mean, with recovery, you know, they sort of teach about higher power, and when I did recovery, and I've done, obviously I'm in recovery in a minute, but you know, when I've done 12-step and stuff, it's always been about, you know, it's not a religious thing. So when they say God, they mean a higher power, and it's always a God as you understand it. So it's not necessarily like a Christian God or a Jewish God or whatever. It's just a higher power, whatever that higher power may be.
Yeah.
And to me, I mean, I did all that, and for me, when I got sort of clean off drinking drugs, was my family became like almost like my higher power. That was what motivated me and kept me clean and kept me going. And I was determined. And I try, you know me, Scott, you've known me for 2 decades. Things didn't stop me taking drugs or doing what I was, even though, you know, at times I'd lost nearly everything, I still kept doing it. And then when it got to starting a family, that kept me going, and that's, you know,
that's the higher power. But the thing is that, and that's what you have your faith in, because you can see the evidence. It's there, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, man. So yeah, I think everyone's different, but no, I'm like, I mean, you know, you never know. I mean, one day something may change. I'm not against the idea that one day, you know, you might go to church with Christian and think, hang on a minute, do you know what I mean? You know, there might be something in this.
But you wouldn't push it on somebody else, though, would you?
100% not. And this is the thing I have a little... See, my son wants to get christened. Well, he said he wanted to get christened, and I don't know, he's not mentioned it for a few weeks. So, but he was like, I want to get christened. And I was a bit like, really? I'm like, I wouldn't stop him if he was determined, but I wasn't sure if he knew what, you know, he's only 7.
What it's for.
Like, do you know what I mean? But I don't know if he's got that from school, because they talk about, obviously, God, and there's he just goes to a normal school, you know what I mean? So I don't know if that's why he's thinking that, but if he was to come to me and say, listen, I believe in God and I want it, because I'm not going to stop him.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It works both ways, doesn't it? I won't stand in his way. I won't say, and because I'd be a bit of a hypocrite if I said to him, you will do this, even though I don't believe it. You're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which is why I had a bit of a problem with the whole thing for the school. But I get it. Hit that like button if you're watching, 70 if you're watching, which is great. Let's have some more likes, please. Let's get to 50 likes. John B says, Jay, ask Scotty if that book I recommended has come yet.
The one, is it Into the Weeds? No, it was the Anthony Bourdain's, mate. The book I've ordered. I've not got it yet, but thanks again for the recommendation.
Alex Buckingham said,
"Happy birthday, Anthony Bourdain!" last week. Actually.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. You watched anything yet? No.
Right. For start, I know. I'm shit. Right, but I have been busy.
Can't even help his pregnant wife to the tip. Never mind.
I know. I ain't got time for that. I'm too busy. I've got 4 naps to have a day. I ain't got time to be watching things that Scotty's recommended. We've got a super chat. Alex Buckingham, thank you for the super chat. I think this is our first ever one, innit? Have we had a super chat before?
You're going to have to enlighten me on what a super chat is.
Do you know what? I do love you, son. He's so cute. Me and him have got our own show on Paddock, right? We've been doing this for a little while now, and you don't even know what a super chat is. It's great, I love that. It's where someone pays money to have their chat highlighted on the chat, and it's like,
is it a good? I hope it's a good question.
Well, technically, right? There's this thing with super chats, you read them out, but you don't have to read them out. I mean, we will.
If he's paid, man.
But there's this thing, have you never seen it, me and Macro.
Is it like when you go to a strip joint and you give the girl give her a little bit more cash?
I have no idea, I don't go to strip joints.
You've seen them though.
I've seen them in a film.
Where they give an extra note.
Yeah.
And because they want something different. Is that what he's done?
No.
Is that what it's like?
If you want.
Are we his whores?
Have you ever seen it on Arsenal Fans TV? The one with
What?
Claude and Si. No, not that. Claude and Si. I never get over it, right? So Claude and Si, God rest Claude, they're on a video, and the super chat comes up, and the super chat, Claude, right, has got the screen, and he goes, Ty chokes on DT's Willie. What's that all about? Ty sat there and he goes, don't read that out. What are you reading it out for? And he goes, super chat, you got to read it out. And you can hear the producer shouting, you don't have to read them out if they're like offensive. Obviously, This one isn't. Alex Buckingham, who's a great supporter of this channel, great supporter of Stretford Paddock, big fan. I'm a big fan of yours. Thank you for your support. Says, my nan taught me prayers when I was a kid, and I was walking to the pub in town to get pissed when I was 15, and in seconds I thought, that's bollocks, innit? Fair play to those that believe.
So like he had an enlightened moment on the way to the pub.
He had an epiphany. Do you know what I mean? Like is it St. Paul?
15 going to the pub.
Well, how old was you when you started going to the pub?
Depends how you frame the question, because my dad.
Well, I've framed it as a factual question with a factual answer.
I don't know what when my dad first started taking me. Probably about 7 or 8. What? You used to get like half a shandy at 8 or 9.
Yeah, I get that. No, how old was you going to the pub on your own?
The first time I remember going and actually buying a pint officially, legally, was when it was last day of school.
Yeah.
So I was 16, and then it's a funny story actually. So it was the last day of school, and my dad had come down. He said, "Meet us in the Farmers." I took you to the Farmers once. It's
a memorable evening I won't forget.
Yeah, surprisingly gone now. So me and 3 mates went down to the pub with our shirts signed. Remember you used to do that at school, the last day of school, sign your shirts. And they walked in, and then my dad said, "Oh, I'll buy you his first legal pint." And then went over to the barmaid, to Kim, and they said, get these around. And my dad tried to blag the barmaid that we were 18 and we were in there with our school uniforms, blazing.
I love the hustle. You've got to respect the hustle.
He's not 18, Wayne. He is.
I'll get you your first legal pint.
Yeah, wink with the conspiratorial wink. Anyway, but fair play to Kim. And then she gave him her first pint of Foster's. And I remember clearly saying that tastes like cat piss. And I said, I don't like it. And she went, you will, son, you will. And then it was like, whew.
Isn't it mad that when you first taste beef and that tastes minging? I remember thinking that.
Because, everything up until that point was cheap as shit cider on the streets, which, after a while gets more tolerant than Australians' finest.
I remember when we got our GCSE results, we went to the Nag's Head in Davey near school, and we went in there and we bought a beer and that. And we'd been in there before, and we weren't in our uniforms, we were in normal clothes. We just went to get our results. And the teachers came in for a drink and told the barmaid that we were underage. And they asked us to leave. And I was fuming. We'd left the school as well.
Oh, man.
Do you know what I mean? This is fucking sick.
I remember when we went, on our leavers do, and all our teachers were absolutely ruined.
Really?
Proper gone.
Seriously?
One of them, Mr. Vandaloo or Vindaloo, whatever his name, was a French teacher.
Mr. Vindaloo, that famous French name.
Honestly, he actually taught French. Vandaloo, I think his name was. And I'm not making it up, but he's fucking breakdancing on the floor at Burnage Rugby Club, and it's just wild. And literally, the kids around the side getting up to all sorts, hands in knickers and 20 balls. And I caught all the teachers were just fucking like, we're leaving school as well. I mean, the year I left school, Jay, it was in the papers for being the second worst school in the country.
Were you proud of that?
Yeah, it makes me more proud of my achievements.
Because you did well, didn't you, there?
Yeah, I got 2 GCS now. Yeah, I lived.
No, but you know what I mean? Like the second worst
in the
school
country, mate.
In the entire country.
Yeah.
Whereabouts was it?
Gorton, Spurley High School it was. But I mean, it was rum. We just had supply teachers on a merry-go-round, and they couldn't handle with the kids.
We had just feral.
Yeah, we had one teacher that got done for possibly sexually abusing a female student in PE.
Jesus, what?
And then he came back to school. Had gone through a divorce, got his job back. And then ended up throwing his keys during PE at someone's eyes, got sacked again, And it's like, and we had a science
That's
teacher.
like the guy off In Between Us.
Serious?
The guy that they keep bringing back.
Yeah.
Touching up the kids.
That's how desperate they were for teachers. And we
Jesus
had a
Christ.
science teacher that used to sell weed to the sixth formers. It was fucking like, yeah. So when I look back, I had a great time. Don't get me wrong.
I'm not surprised.
Like,
it sounds
it
like,
was good,
you know,
man.
It's like a party.
But you could wag it for fun. I mean, it was quite easy. And the annoying thing is, it's like St. Albans was the rival school, because that was a Catholic school. That was very well done and stuff like that. I know my mates had a lot better education than I did. I do look back and regret it somewhat, but then I sort of see, I don't know, you sort of learn street smarts. I don't think I'd be the person that I was if I went to another school.
I respect that, because I had the sort of best of both worlds, me, because I passed me 11 plus, and I went to grammar. I didn't want to. All my mates were going, well, Acre. My mum was like, you go to grammar, you've passed. There's not a discussion, you go in. And I'm glad she said that, because I was lazy and they made me work and get some GCSEs. But I grew up in Partington, so I had to get the bus to school. So all my mates, I remember once we had a teacher training day at my school, and it was only at my school. And I went round my mate's house in the middle of the day, and all my mates were in his house. Like, none of them were in school. Just all sat there smoking weed at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever. And it was like, that's what they did most days. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I had to go in school every single day, because it was like grammar and my mum and dad.
Yeah.
If you did anything wrong, you got grassed up, and it was just like, it was one of them. So I was sort of grateful, because at the time you think, oh, but I had a good time. It was a mixed school as well, so it wasn't just lads, it was lads and girls. It wasn't rough, because it was grammar school. It was quite, you know what I mean? It was quite, and we had decent facilities.
Yeah.
And it was funny, because our kid went there, and I was on like homework report and class report. I was like just the dregs of the school. Do you know what I mean?
Story,
yeah. And our kid, he's white, my brother, and he looks nothing like me. Obviously, he's white, and he's got a beard now, but he didn't have one when he was a kid. But they looked at his thing and went, Motorzed. Oh, obviously my full name, Justin Motorzed. And he's like, yeah, he's my brother. And I went, oh, right, you can sit at the front then. And he had to sit at the front in all his lessons, because he was my brother. And he thought
punishment for the crimes that your brother committed.
And it was like, exactly, and he wasn't like me. He was a little, well, he was all right at school. He wasn't.
He's done well for himself, though, hasn't he, now, your brother?
He got a law degree, and he's put it to good use.
He got to on Old Trafford pitch, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
He made it, mate.
Wait, you said that, though. You make it sound like he signed for United. Like...
that's the pint you owe me.
He's done well. He got to play the Old Trafford pitch. Like, yeah, he made.
Not
his
many
debut.
get to do that.
That's fair play. Yeah, he did. He works for United. That's the only reason he got what he did. I'm jealous of him. But no, he went to Glastonbury. Funny enough.
Did he?
Yeah, I think it's his first time got to Glastonbury. So he's been buzzing. I messaged him before. Yeah, he had a great time.
He drinks, does he?
Yeah, he's. I think I helped him. And
you helped him drink?
No, not drink. He never touched drugs, our kid.
Did he?
He's never. He's
That's
never touched.
good,
Just
though,
drink.
isn't it?
He just he likes his drink and that, but he's never. I don't think he's.
You were like the crash test.
Well, yeah, I took one for the team to make sure that he wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? Because I thought I'd look after him. He's my little brother. Look out for you. I'll do all this so you don't.
That's like that. I'm the same with like not my younger brother, my sister and stuff. Like I consider the firstborn to be like them in the trenches of life. You know what I mean? We're going to take all the shit that's thrown at us. You know which way to go, because we'll put ourselves first and sacrifice the hangovers and highs, priory.
Yeah. Getting nips and all that. Yeah.
Dealers chasing you.
Yeah, he saw all that and he thought, no, that's not for me. Do you know what I mean?
Looks like fun at the time.
Yeah.
No.
There's never been a knock on the door from the old Bill Hard House looking for him. There's never been a dealer chasing him up. He's never had to borrow money off my mum because he's in the shit. Well, he might have, but nothing to do with drugs. So yeah, that's what you're doing, it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's brotherly love.
I hope he thanks you for that.
He should do.
I don't think he realises that what you've
I
gone
think
through
he
for
probably
him.
thought I was just being a selfish little bastard.
You should
doing
remind him
whatever I wanted for years and causing havoc in the house.
That wasn't it at all.
It wasn't.
You should remind him every Christmas. Listen, if it weren't for you,
yeah, not all heroes wear capes. Do you know what I mean? That 2 decades of carnage was for your benefit. I was looking out for you, so you're welcome. Do you know what I mean? Bit of appreciation won't go amiss. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that was obviously my plan all along. Yeah. Crimson K8C says super chat. Got to read it out. Yeah, that was a reference to the thing I was talking about with Arsenal Fans TV. John B says the amount of super chats Jay misses out on Paddock. Alex is looking to get this one read. Right? Can I just defend myself on this? I don't deliberately miss them out on Paddock. Sometimes you slip through that because we have quite a lot. And also, I do a podcast with Stephen Howson, and you can have 1 million super chats ready to try to read them out. Get them, say them, and he'll just be waffling about somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult sometimes because I'm not exactly, technological.
That will never happen on this. Where am I? That will never happen on this show. As many super chats as you want, tips in the knickers and stuff. We're here for it, aren't we? We'll answer every single one. We've got one so far, haven't we?
Yeah. We've got 100% record on reading out super chats on this channel.
We'll put that in the bio.
Yeah.
Never missed the...
Never missed the super chat, no matter what the content of it is, no matter how much it is, no matter if it's 10p or 100 quid. We will read it out.
How much is it?
That was £10.
He put £10 in to ask that question. Ask another. You can ask another question for that.
Yeah.
We should throw more deals in.
Alex Buckingham.
Buy one.
Alex Buckingham, he's in the normal chat here, so we'll read out his other said. We did have a nutter in our set class that yeeted wood at some wronging. Got away with it, but that lad was a knobhead. There you go.
He what?
Yeeted wood.
Eated wood.
Yeeted wood.
Ate wood.
Fair J. Oh, there you go. Alex Buckingham's back again. Fair play. Fair. Jay does the best on super chats, to be fair. Yeah, I'm swimming against the tide. We're going to wrap up there. We've got another video coming out on Thursday. What we're talking about.
Oh, I was really enjoying that. We're going to be talking about Glastonbury and top 5 gigs that we've been to.
You must have about 100 gigs you've been to.
Yeah, but I don't remember all of them.
That's a fair point. I was thinking about this before.
It was your idea.
I know. And then, like you do it all the time. You think of an idea and you think, hang on a minute, I ain't got enough ideas to fill this up.
Well, it'd be top 5-ish, but shall I wrap it up to the people? Thank you, everyone that's got involved. Buzzing with our first super chat. It's me and him just do this for a buzz between us, and I don't mean to sound all cheesy, but it's really nice that other people get involved with the chat and watch us. We haven't got any aspiration otherwise than just catching up and being mates and stuff. So it's meant that you lot are doing that. And then on another note, make sure you're sharing it because we won't be famous.
Yes. Thanks for watching.